Only. Right. Yesterday, this is what we studied. So an allergen is coming into picture. It is being what you call inhaled by a person, specifically an asthmatic. Okay. Allergen किसी में भी हुआ तो allergen इसलिए बोलते हैं because it is a normal substance that is causing allergy in a person. So asthmatics में allergen रहता ही है. For a normal person who does not have asthma, this is just be a foreign substance that will cause mild what you call cough or something like that, and it is gone. Mucus will surround that substance. Normally, what happens is if let's suppose I have a person who is non-asthmatic and a dust particle goes inside in their respiratory system, what will happen is once they inhale it, because that respiratory particle, the dust particle is a foreign body, mucus will what you call engulf that dust particle. So basically there'll be mucus particle secreted around it, and maybe some macrophages will what you call engulf it, but most of the time mucus will surround it, and that mucus will be spitted out by you. You will cough it out or you will spit it out. Right, that is what happens with dust particles generally. Or even if you don't cough it out, let's suppose it is coming all the way up to your throat, and you're swallowing the cough the phlegm inside or swallowing the sputum inside, it will go to your stomach, to your what do you call the acid, and it will get disintegrated there. So either way it will be taken care of. But in a asthmatic, that dust particle, let's suppose the person has dust allergy or asthma triggered through dust, so that will cause a serious reaction. So that this is one part of that reaction. Right, this is what we discussed yesterday. So what is happening, an allergen is coming inside, it is being phagocytosed. So generally dendritic cell will phagocytose it, but you also have something called alveolar macrophages which are present in your near your alveoli. They can also engulf this. Ultimately both of them are antigen presenting cells, so they will present the antigen, which is your allergen, which is causing the allergy, to your T cells, T helper type 2 cells. These fellows in turn will secrete interleukin 4 and interleukin 5. Yesterday what we discussed was interleukin 4 in turn will, hold on, yeah, this fellow will stimulate or activate plasma B cells, right, this fellow activates plasma B cells. Activated plasma B cells will produce antigens, sorry, antibodies. You know, B cell ka normal काम is production of antibodies. Hope you already know this. But antibodies are formed from your IgE specifically. IgE antibodies are produced. What these IgE antibodies will do is they will activate mast cells. They will cause mast cell activation. These mast cell in turn undergo granulation. I'll write it here itself. Undergo granulation. Oh yeah. Undergo granulation. Let's make it a little bit larger. Aata. Right. Once these undergo granulation, they will in turn release two things. They will release, you have histamine and they will release leukotrienes. All right. Now, leukotrienes specifically will go and act on your bronchioles. Okay, this is the part of equation which you studied. Now, another thing, histamine, एक और चीज करता, that is, it will cause, or let me put it this way, this fellow can also cause uh, bronchoconstriction and vasoconstriction. So it will cause the nearby blood vessels to constrict, and it will cause, what do you call, इधर कर देंगे. I hope you can see this now. Right, it will cause local bronchoconstriction, and it will cause smooth muscle constriction. Sorry, bronchoconstriction. That bronchoconstriction basically occurs due to what do you call smooth muscle constriction. उसके वजह से bronchoconstriction हो रहा. Smooth muscle constriction. Right. I hope you guys can see this. थोड़ा बड़ा कर देंगे. हाँ. Right. That SMS, smooth muscle constriction. So normally I told you yesterday, histamine is something that will cause smooth muscle relaxation and vasodilation in all over the body, except in respiratory system where it will cause bronchoconstriction through smooth muscle constriction, and it will cause vasoconstriction through what do you call constriction of your blood vessels basically. This leukotriene will act on your bronchioles, and it will what do you call help in production of more mucus, and it will help in propagating the inflammatory response basically. All right, that is what is happening. Now the next part here, I hope this is what we discussed yesterday, right? This is where till where we stopped. We'll continue from what will happen with interleukin 5. I told you T helper cells will, I'll just write it as IL-5. All right, this is another mediator of inflammation that your T helper cell is secreting. What this fellow in particular will do is it will activate eosinophils. Okay, if you remember, eosinophils are also part of your immunity. What are eosinophils? They come under one category of WBC, no? What is eosinophil? Anyone? There are like how many people are there? 8, 9 people are there. 7 people are there, sorry. What is eosinophil? Think. What does an eosinophil do? If you remember, in viral infections, there is one particular type of WBC that will come into picture. That fellow has eosinic granules or acidic granules. That is our eosinophil. Your WBC will be classified into granulocytes and agranulocytes. See, you cannot forget these basics. If you forget these basics, it is pointless to study medicine altogether. So, or anything related to healthcare, you're not supposed to forget the basics. If you forget them, then it will be very hard to understand others. So what does eosinophil activation do? Whenever interleukin 5 is secreted by a T helper cell, this fellow will go and cause activation of eosinophils, which in turn will release leukotrienes, and they will release cytokines. Now these cytokines will act as, they will have chemotactic function basically. So what is chemotaxis? Chemotaxis is the function wherein a chemical is attracting something else. Here it is trying to attract your immune cells. So here it is trying to attract what you call circulatory macrophages, circulatory T cells, B cells, everyone else, so that a proper inflammatory response can occur here. That is what is happening. It will attract WBC specifically. So this is the cycle. Now the other part, this leukotriene will again act on your bronchioles. In the end, what will happen is, because there is vasoconstriction, because there are what you call inflammatory hold on. See, because of this vasoconstriction, because of this chemotaxis, because of these leukotrienes, what will happen is your blood vessels will start what do you call having some damage, wherein, let's suppose, I'll put this on the side. Okay. Now let's suppose I'm taking a cross section of your bronchiole. This is your bronchiole, let's suppose, and this is a cross section on of the nearby, hold on, let's draw it in red. This is the cross section of your nearby blood vessel. Okay, near the bronchiole you'll also have blood vessels. All right, now during an inflammatory reaction, what is happening is, first of all, on the left side of the equation. I'll close this window, okay, so that you can see. Right. Because of mast cell activation, histamine, leukotrienes, all of that, edema will start building up. Okay. Mm, mucus will start building up. Let's do mucus in yellow. So mucus starts building up in your bronchiole. Okay. Some of the vertical, a part of your bronchiole has been constricted now. Now, what will happen is, because it is an inflammatory reaction, this blood vessel will have structural changes in its endothelial layer, meaning this blood vessel layer will not be intact anymore. It will start looking like this. So, okay, if you can see, there are gaps created in the blood vessel. These are very small gaps. Okay, I'm drawing so that you can drawing so big there so that you can understand. But what will happen is, because of these mediators of inflammation, histamine and what you call leukotriene, all of them, interleukins, all of these fellows, what they will do is they will create these gaps in your blood vessel. Through these gaps, your plasma can come out, right? So what will happen, because of this plasma which is present inside will come out, and it will start accumulating in your bronchiole. Now in your bronchiole, what will end up happening is, this will get, see what is happening to your bronchiole now, it is getting completely constricted through mucus and through what do you call, this edema that is being formed. If you can see, this is the end result of your asthma. What is happening is, your bronchioles are getting constricted and they are getting blocked. So suppose your bronchioles initial size, okay, let me draw it this way. Hmm, hmm, where is that? Let's suppose your bronchioles initial size was, okay, let's do it in a different color so that you can understand. Hmm, right. Let's suppose your bronchioles initial size was this much. Okay, even if you have the surrounding blood vessel that is what do you call, trying to, it is getting damaged and leaving edema outside, it is leaking and leaving edema outside. If this bronchiole is normal in size, this will not create such a big problem. But because of histamine, what is happening is, this the size of this bronchiole will change to, let me do it this way, this fellow is decreasing in size now. Okay, let's suppose it is becoming this much in size. Now what will happen if I decrease the size in this condition? That mucus that is present and the edema that is being formed, that will completely fill up the bronchiole, and it will not let any air to pass through. Okay, because of this, the patient will have a severe asthmatic attack where they are not able to breathe, right, and ultimately leading to status asthmaticus. This is basically the pathology of your asthma. Okay, I hope you understood this. If you have any doubts, do let me know right now, so I can explain to you stepwise anywhere in this particular steps that you did not understand. Any particular place that you want me to explain again, or if you want me to go over the whole thing once, just to summarize, you can put it in the chat, or you can just talk it out as well.
Sir, please repeat the topics.
Repeat which part? The whole thing?
Once revise whatever you do.
Okay. So there is a person who has asthma, let's suppose, and they have allergy through dust. Okay. It can be an asthmatic who has allergy to any other thing. Now we have an allergen that is coming inside the asthmatic patient. All right. This allergen, what will happen is, once it is going inside the person's respiratory system, it will get phagocytosed, meaning something will engulf that. That something will be your dendritic cells or macrophages. Generally, it is your dendritic cells or your macrophages. There can be other APCs as well, but in your lung, you have alveolar macrophages lying around, and you will have a few dendritic cells here and there. So they will phagocytose this allergen. They will eat up this allergen, right? When they eat this allergen, what will happen is, they will present this allergen on their cell surface. So basically, what is happening is, let's suppose this is your dendritic cell, okay, with its small nucleus. Let's do the nucleus like this. Okay, let's suppose this is the nucleus, and there is an allergen that is coming inside, being phagocytosed. Let's suppose this black part is the allergen. What will happen is there is a MHC molecule that will come into picture, major histocompatibility complex, right? Hmm. This fellow, this fellow, what he'll do is, it will, this is a protein basically. Okay, this fellow will present that same antigen on the surface of that particular dendritic cell. So that same macrophage or dendritic cell, what will happen in it is, it will have the MHC molecule on its surface like this, and it will present that antigen on its surface like this, so that your immune cells can come and capture this allergen. Now what will happen is, when once this dendritic cell or macrophage, let's suppose this is the macrophage, okay, M5. M5 is the what you call symbolism for macrophage. Now your macrophage, this fellow will come in contact with your T cell, specifically T helper type 1 cell. Okay, hello, T helper type 1 cell, right? If it comes across a lymph node or something like that, you will obviously have T cells and B cells around your lymph nodes. This fellow in particular will react with T helper type 2 cells, and it will cause an abnormal change in your T helper type 2 cells, wherein your T helper cell is secreting two things, which is your interleukin 4 and interleukin 5. The first cycle is interleukin 4 will activate your plasma B cells. Plasma B cells will in turn produce antibodies, sorry, IgE type of antibodies. Okay, these antibodies will activate your mast cell, and these mast cells upon activation undergo granulation. Activated mast cells will in turn release histamines and leukotrienes. Histamine will cause bronchoconstriction, vasoconstriction, and it will also cause these leukotrienes will also, along with this, all of this, what will happen is your blood vessel, the endothelial layer of your blood vessel. So basically, let's suppose I am drawing your blood vessel like this. Uh, let's suppose this is your blood vessel, and you have your endothelial lining like this. Basically, the endothelial cell lining of your blood vessel. Because of this, what will happen is there will be gaps created. We studied this in inflammation. Because of this, I'll do the gaps here. So from normalcy, so this lower one is normal. From here, what will happen is your blood vessel will start looking like this. There will be gaps created in your endothelial lining. Okay, the same cells will have gaps in it. So through these gaps, what can happen? Plasma can leak out. These gaps will be very small. Okay, so plasma can leak out. If the damage is extensive and the gaps enlarge even more, proteins will start coming out. Other than plasma, proteins will also start coming out. So because of all of this, the first thing that will happen is your bronchioles will constrict, and they will start to have edema, and they will start to have a lot of mucus being produced and being accumulated here. That is one phase. Another phase is your interleukin 5 will get activated, this part. Okay, and it will in turn activate your activated eosinophils will in turn secrete leukotrienes of their own, and they will secrete cytokines will help in bringing other inflammatory mediators and other inflammatory cells here. So they will try to bring circulatory what you call macrophages, circulatory T cells, whatever is there, your immune cells which are roaming around in your body, they will try to attract here. Basically your body is thinking this is something that is damaging my cell, so I will bring more immune cells so that it can kill this pathogen or this damaging what you call organism. Here the allergen will be the damaging organism, right? Even though we know that it is not an organism, but your body is hypersensitive, the asthmatic's body is hypersensitive to that particular allergen where it is causing allergy. So cytokines will attract, it will basically cause chemotaxis, where it will cause chemical attraction basically of macrophages, other circulating macrophages, T cells, B cells, all of that. So inflammatory reaction will propagate even more, and these leukotrienes will act even more on your bronchioles. Ultimately what will happen is the size of your bronchiole will decrease, and they will get completely constricted, where there is no flow of what do you call gases, or no exchange of gases occurring. Okay, this is your episodic asthma. Okay, I hope you understand now. This was a summary of asthma. right? Does anyone else have any doubts? Five. Yo, no one. All right. पूरम को पक्का समझ में आया ना? What is the pathology of your asthma?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, there are five people out of that one is answering. I'm guessing everyone understood. So this was about what you call how the disease progression occurs in this. Now, asthma in general can be divided into two types. Okay, asthma will have two main subtypes. Okay, there can be extrinsic asthma and intrinsic asthma. Extrinsic asthma and intrinsic asthma. Sorry. Now, what is the difference between these? Extrinsic asthma is the allergic kind. So this will develop early in childhood or in early adult phases, young adult or early childhood. By then, the allergen will come into contact with the person, and what do you call? You will have an allergic reaction wherein you will be able to detect whether the person has asthma or not. Right? It is fairly easier to diagnose as well, right? And you'll be able to see it clearly. This is also called atopic kind because atopy is basically something, it is a tendency for you to have a genetic predisposition to allergic diseases. So uh, basically, to put it simply, allergy runs in your family. Okay, or you have the genetic tendency to get any allergic disease. That is atopy. So atopic asthma or allergic asthma or extrinsic asthma refers to the same thing where the patient will have an allergic reaction, and here it is mediated mainly through IgE, right? IgE will play an important role in this kind of asthma. Okay. Now, on the other hand, and other causing effects of what you call the causative organisms for this, organisms, the causative agents for this will be house dust, pollen, animal danders, or occupational fumes, or chemical dust, things like that. Whereas on the other hand, intrinsic asthma, this fellow is called idiosyncratic, sorry, idiosyncratic, or it is also called non-atopic. So basically, this is idiosyncratic, matlab abnormal. Okay, idiosyncratic refers to something that is abnormal because intrinsic asthma itself is abnormal. This is because it is not due to allergy. This type of asthma is generally developing either after a viral disease, so someone has uh, a viral disease, and after that they are developing this kind of asthma post viral infection, of upper respiratory tract, so URTI basically, right? Upper respiratory tract infection, specifically of the viral type, or they have some kind of a drug allergy. Either one of these, in these conditions they will have an asthmatic reaction. Specifically, drug allergy will be for what do you call it, aspirin. Okay, some people are allergic to aspirin, and okay, I have to explain what is the function of aspirin. Normally, how aspirin works is, I'll explain you briefly. At least this is the hypothesis. Now, what aspirin does is, in your body there is something called arachidonic acid. Okay, you studied about arachidonic acid last year. Let's suppose this is arachidonic acid. Okay, arachidonic acid is converted into prostaglandins. Okay, and it is converted into leukotrienes. Both of these are important in inflammation. Arachidonic acid will convert what you call into prostaglandin using the compound or enzyme called COX, cyclooxygenase, and it will convert into leukotrienes using LOX, lipooxygenase. Aspirin, what it will do is, this fellow will inhibit this step. It will inhibit cyclooxygenase. So what will happen is prostaglandins are not formed. Aspirin is a local painkiller, or painkillers is other. It is a local uh, anti-inflammatory drug. Okay, it can act as an anti-inflammatory. It can act as a blood thinner. It can act as a pain reliever as well. Uh, Antipyretic specifically, depending on what dose you give it at. So the function, the way through which your aspirin works is by inhibiting your COX. If a more amount of arachidonic acid. Let's suppose I have 10 molecules of arachidonic acid. Out of that, 5 are being converted into this and 5 are being converted into this. Now, if someone is taking aspirin and I'm telling they might be allergic to aspirin, or there might be a reaction wherein aspirin is causing asthma, in intrinsic type of asthma, what I can deduce is, or at least this is the hypothesis, what they hypothesized is, because aspirin is blocking these 5 from uh, in from converting into PG. Okay, normally if 10 molecules of arachidonic acid are there, 5 will be converted into prostaglandins, 5 into leukotrienes. Because these 5 are not being converted, all of the 10 will be converted into leukotrienes, or basically it will push the reaction in this side. So more amount of leukotrienes will be formed. Now you know that leukotrienes have a heavy involvement in asthma, right? If you remember, leukotrienes will directly act on bronchioles and cause bronchoconstriction, and they will cause edema and mucus to be accumulated and all of that. So this is one suspecting agent. So people who have aspirin allergy, in them intrinsic asthma can occur, or at least intrinsic asthma patients may have aspirin allergy. Okay, I hope you understood that. This is the basic classification of asthma in general. All right, we'll start bronchiectasis. If you guys have understood this, then we'll go forward to bronchiectasis. Or do you want me to repeat any part of this? Okay, I guess everyone is clear with this.
Yes, sir.
क्या हुआ अनुष्का, समझ में नहीं आया? ऐसा ये सर था वो. See, तुम लोगों को समझ में नहीं आया तो तुम लोगों को बोलना पड़ता मेरे को. I will not be able to what you call read your minds. If you're not understanding any part, you have to talk it out. I'll
Sir,
go.
just one brief out the intrinsic. No?
अच्छा ठीक है. इंट्रिंसिक क्या है? दिस इज एन अबनॉर्मल काइंड ऑफ आस्थमा. ठीक है. नॉर्मल काइंड ऑफ आस्थमा में क्या हो रहा? प्रॉपर एलर्जी हो रही. दैट वी ऑलरेडी नो. इसको अबनॉर्मल इसलिए बोल रहे हैं, वी आर कॉलिंग दिस अबनॉर्मल बिकॉज दिस इज नॉट एन एलर्जिक टाइप. Now what you know is asthma is due to an allergic reaction. The pathophysiology that we studied is allergic asthma, right? There is an allergen that is coming and causing bronchoconstriction and all of that. Now intrinsic asthma is itself an abnormal kind. That is why it is called idiosyncratic. Idiosyncratic ka matlab is abnormal, or it is called non-atopic type, meaning the patient does not have any genetic tendency for allergy. This is happening because some causes of these are, if a patient already has a viral infection, let's suppose upper respiratory tract viral infection, after that viral infection they are having asthma. Okay, asthmatic reaction. Or if someone has a allergy to aspirin, okay, aspirin allergy patients, they might be able to develop what you call asthma. Or you can also say that intrinsic patients or intrinsic asthma patients, they might be allergic to certain drugs. One common drug is your asthma, your aspirin. Another drug that they might be allergic to is beta blockers. Okay, beta blockers are used in hypertension, your propranolol, metoprolol, all of that. Okay, in them, atenolol. Some patients might be allergic to that, in the sense that allergic se zyada these drugs might trigger asthma in the patient. Okay, rather than pure allergy, these drugs might trigger asthma in such patients. Because this is an abnormal kind of reaction, it will be what you call placed under intrinsic type. I hope you understood that. ये arachidonic acid का लोचा क्या है? Now you know arachidonic acid is a compound that is present in your body, and it will play an important role in inflammation. If you remember, I told you start of inflammation. Uh, Hold on. Control Y, Control Z, Z. Oh. Oh. Now arachidonic acid, if you remember, it is formed from breakdown of cells. If I have inflammation in any particular area, I will have phospholipase A converting your cell debris into arachidonic acid. That is where the arachidonic acid will come from. Right. Now arachidonic acid is a compound which can get converted into prostaglandins, and it can get converted into leukotrienes. This will happen through two particular enzymes. One is cyclooxygenase, it is also called COX, and lipooxygenase, it is called LOX. Okay, cyclooxygenase and lipooxygenase. I'll write it down. Hold on. cyclooxygenase and lipooxygenase. These are the two enzymes. Now what will happen is aspirin is a NSAID drug. It is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. Our aspirin, what it will do is it will decrease inflammation. How it will decrease inflammation is this fellow will come and inhibit your enzyme COX. Okay, your paracetamol will also work in the same way. It will inhibit COX here. Because it is inhibiting COX, what will happen is normally, let's suppose aspirin is not there. One person who is making 10 molecules of arachidonic acid, in them 5 molecules of prostaglandin will be formed and 5 molecules of leukotrienes will be formed. 5 equal distribution. If I have a person who is taking aspirin, these 5 will not be formed. Okay, so the reaction will tend to go towards this side. So it will go towards LOX, meaning more amount of leukotrienes will be formed. Now we know that leukotrienes have a very strong correlation in asthma, where they can cause bronchoconstriction and edema and mucus formation. So in patients who have what you call intrinsic asthma, or patients who have aspirin allergy, intrinsic asthma might get triggered. Okay, so this is the brief of your intrinsic asthma. I hope you understood this time.
Yes, sir.
Chalo. I don't even know. What about the other 4? Anjali and Cindy, Maria and Atul. तुम्हारे क्लास के बाकी के क्या हुए रे? अभी अभी भी खाना खा रहे क्या? 5. Okay, we'll continue with bronchiectasis tomorrow. Then we have 5 minutes left. Even though it is small, we won't have to stop in between. Chalo, see you tomorrow then.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Sir.